When you open up the island template, you're going to see this. These are example islands, and this is just a demonstration. But usually this is what your island will look like along with the bridges. They'll all be facing the front, as you can see on the viewer here. They'll all be facing forward, because that's how it rotates them. And then in-game, they'll appear like this, facing the correct sides. So you have your island here. And what you're going to do, this is just copied from the example. You can delete these, because they're just showing which direction it's facing in. You don't need to put these on your bridges. But keep in mind, these green pillars are all the centers of the bridges. And then the red one here is the center of the island. You do not want to move these, and you have to make sure that the primary part of the island model is the island center. Otherwise it's not going to work, because it uses pivot 2 to teleport all the islands to the random spot that's picked for them. And I'm pretty sure that relies on the primary part. I can't remember. Okay, I've moved it around a bit. You'll see you have this folder here called bridges. These are all your bridges. Well, I've already said this, I think. But keep in mind, you don't have to make a bridge for every single side of your island. If you want the bridge to be same on every side, all you have to do is create one bridge. It doesn't matter what side it's on. As long as the bridge is facing front when you've made it. For example, let me select this. I'm going to make a part, put it in the bridge, so it's in the left bridge. Where is it? So it's on top of here. And I'm going to move it over to the center of the bridge. Now I'm going to make it 30 studs long, because that's the length needed to reach another island. But you'll see that the pillar is facing forward, but this is not facing forward, but this is to the side, which is not what we want, because it's going to rotate the pillar to the left side, since this is the left bridge, and it's going to end up looking like this in game. So you want to make sure all the parts on your bridges are facing forward like this. As long as the model is facing forward, I think it should be fine. You got to be careful. So if I throw this in PBS right now with all the values correctly selected, this should work. Oh, and I didn't anchor it. Whoops. Let's try that again. Okay, let's see where it is. It's over there. And it's been replaced. Okay, I'm gonna have to set the bridge priority. Wait, what? Okay, so as you can see, it's because I put... What? Why is there a gap here? Oh, the center of it isn't... Whoops. I am not giving a good example right now. So as you can see, because we put it in like this, the bridge has been rotated and isn't facing the right direction anymore. Because this is the bridge's front. So it's been rotated this way, and now it's facing left, because it's the left bridge. So you have to make sure all the bridges are facing the right direction. As a quick example, I'm going to make a simple island, and I'm gonna duplicate this, move it up a bit, and I don't know, create a layer of grass. You know, your typical PBS island. Okay, so I've made my island. It's very bad. There's nothing on it. You know, you got the generic pillar, the grass, the dirt, the whatever. And then what you're gonna do is, if you're only having one single bridge, then it's best that you delete all the other bridges, because you're not going to use them. And if you want to do it on a single side, like if you don't want to do it on the front for some reason, like there's a certain part you want to do or whatever, then you can delete the front one with the other ones and not the side you want to do. And then what you can do is you can make the bridge and do all the bridge stuff. Make sure the part is in the bridge. And if you have it facing the way, this is the way you want to do it, then after you're done making the bridge, what you can do is select the parts apart from the center of the bridge, like the pillar, and then rotate it to be facing forward, and I'm pretty sure that should work. I'm going to test that theory actually. Select all of the bridge object values and put it to that value, then run the game. Boom! Look at that bridge right there. Connects to all the other islands, just as though it's intended. I didn't replace the mail island because I didn't need to. But then you end up with this because... Why did I end up with this? Oh, I put a 1 stud layer of grass on top. yeah, you gotta keep in mind that the flat right here, this is the generic height of the islands. If you haven't any higher than that, then it's gonna look like stuff like this. Like maybe you could do, if you wanted to, you could have your island higher than everyone else's, and you can have like a slope or something. I don't know, maybe that's an idea. I'm not telling everyone to copy each other though. It'd be kind of lame if everyone just had the same island when the submissions started going in. If the submissions start going in. But I think I've covered all I really need to. Yeah, just make sure your islands are facing forward. Don't change the rotation of the bridge centers. Keep in mind the island size is 100 by 100. And then the vertical limit, that's a tricky one. I'd say don't go any higher than this. I'm not sure. I don't know if you could like remake fucking Jump King or something. Oh god. But yes, you don't have to have a different bridge for every side. Something important to note, if you want to move your bridges to the grid, you have to move by 65 studs. And then if you want to just copy your bridge so you can like recolor it for a different side or something, you can duplicate it, move it 65 studs in whatever direction, move it 65 again, then rename the bridge to your bridge right, or whatever you want to call your bridge. Don't call it your bridge. Call it like an appropriate bridge name for your island. Because if everyone just has their bridges called your bridge, then it's going to get confusing really quick. Then I'm going to set your bridge right, from your island to your bridge right. Why is it set to the example bridges? I'm going to select the parts in the right bridge and rotate them to the right. Because I think that's how it works. I don't know it anymore. And then maybe I could do like I could have one side of the island look monochrome, and then I can make the grass monochrome on the side as well. And then I'll re-rotate this so it's facing forward again, so this appear correctly in game. And then for these bridges, I can set it to 65 again. Duplicate this one, move it up there, select this part here, split it into, boom, we've got a front bridge. You think you could just make the back bridge the same as this front bridge, and it would look something like this, and it would look completely fine, but it's the back bridge. It turns it around because it's the bridge for the back of the island. So if you do that in game, it'll end up looking like this. So what you want to do is make it, you just want to turn it around to be facing backwards. But do not forget that, because if you do, then I'm not actually sure where I was going with that. But you want to do this, and then what you want to do again is make it face forward again. And I'm confident that this should work in game. But you want to make sure all your bridges are named correctly. So your bridge right, your bridge front. Then I'm going to set the bridge priority to 999 because I'm not dealing with conflict right now. And as you can see, the right bridge is appearing correctly, and so is the front bridge. And if I reshuffle the islands, let's see. Oh, I appear to have made a mistake. Okay, this is something that you want to pay very close attention to. The orientation of the bridge center. Because if you don't, then you'll end up with stuff like this. So if I set that to 0 and then replace the bridge, yeah. So simply changing the orientation of the bridge center will determine what direction it's facing, because it rotates it by the bridge center, the center of the bridge, obviously. So you want to make sure that's facing forward when you're doing your bridges. Because again, I'll explain it. What it does is it takes the bridge center and it rotates it around, and it rotates everything with it. So it'll be facing this way now, it'll be facing the back, as you can see on the viewer, and that'll be facing the back of the island. I think it'd be easiest to get the front bridge done first, since it's facing the front and you won't have any problems. I hope I explained this well, because I don't know, it seems very confusing. I'm gonna have a nightmare editing this later. But yeah, I'm gonna copy this and just put it over there, so you can use it as like a reference or something if you need more help. Even though there are like these islands here which try to show what it's doing. So again, this is what you're going to start out with, but what you want to make sure is that you have your island in a folder, one single folder with all the object values in it as well. You can probably try to sneak a bridge priority value in there, but I'll probably delete it because I only reserved that for islands with cool bridges. But as you can see, we have 2 islands in this folder, which is not good. So I'm just gonna sort all of them out. I forgot to mention, you can also put do not randomize in the folder, but that prevents it from being picked from the list of islands and actually being randomized in game. So it will only be able to be used in presets, which are a list of islands and bridges and their positions, which is how I do stuff like preset classic. And as you can see, it's teleported all of the islands and the bridges to their old positions, and it looks something like this. It's kind of a mess, but that's a whole other mess that I'll get into another time, if it can be bothered, and if anyone is interested. Because I might plan to support custom presets in the future, but I don't know how that's going to work. So as you can see, I've moved everything into their right folders. There's a bridges folder with all of the bridges that you might or might not need. And then there's another folder with all the example bridges that I just showed you from this tutorial. Then the islands folder, there's the example island, which is what it looks like out of game. The in-game island, which is what it looks like in game. And the tutorial island, which is the one I just showed you. Then the main island, which is a mockup of the main one in PBS, just to give an example. This one doesn't have any bridges because the main island doesn't have any bridges. And then there's your island. You're going to be customizing this to however you want, really. Like it said in the document, if you have any questions or need help on anything, don't be afraid to ask. Like, please don't be really annoying on it though, because I'm one person and this is a lot for me to figure out. But I hope this tutorial was useful, and I shall see you in the next update. When you open up the alien... Fuck. I've already failed. My brain cannot brain.